It was a rainy afternoon when Claire and Matthew Dawson first laid eyes on the little girl who would change everything. They hadn't planned on adopting that day. They were visiting the orphanage to donate books, toys, and warm blankets, things Claire had collected from friends and neighbors over the past few months. She had always believed in giving, and Matthew shared her compassionate heart. But both had silently mourned their childless home for years after failed IVF treatments and heartbreaking miscarriages. The orphanage was crowded but strangely quiet that day. Children, usually full of chaotic energy, were subdued, polite. A kind woman named Sister Agnes welcomed the Dawsons and guided them through. "They're getting ready for nap time," she explained, but her voice had a weary undertone. "We've had a hard week. One of the girls arrived just 3 days ago. She hasn't spoken a word." That was the first time Claire noticed her. In a far corner of the common room, a small girl sat alone on a cushion. Her knees were pulled up to her chest, a tattered red scarf wrapped tightly around her tiny shoulders. Her hair was dark and tangled, falling in uneven clumps around her pale face. But her eyes, those deep, silent eyes, were full of something Claire couldn't explain. "What's her name?" Claire asked. "Lena," Sister Agnes replied. "She came from a shelter after being found alone in an abandoned house. No parents. No records. Just Lena." Claire felt an ache in her chest. Something about the girl's stillness felt louder than all the noise in the world. That night, neither Claire nor Matthew could sleep. They kept talking about the little girl in the red scarf. "She didn't even look at us," Matthew said. "But I felt like she was listening," Claire whispered. "Like she hears more than she lets on." By morning, the decision was made. They returned to the orphanage, filled out the paperwork, and asked to begin the process of adopting Lena. The staff was shocked. "She doesn't speak. She doesn't play. She doesn't even cry," one caretaker warned. "Then we'll love her until she does," Claire answered, her voice unwavering. The first days at home were hard. Lena didn't respond to questions. She flinched at sudden movements. She didn't eat unless food was left silently in front of her. She clutched her red scarf constantly, like a lifeline. And she never went anywhere without her small, worn backpack. Claire tried everything, baking cookies, reading aloud, playing soft music. Matthew painted her bedroom sky blue and filled it with stuffed animals. Nothing worked. But they didn't give up. One day, Claire left watercolor paints and paper on the kitchen table and walked away. Later, she returned to find a single image on the paper, a house with no windows, surrounded by scribbled trees. And in front of it, a tiny girl with a red scarf and no mouth. Claire felt her throat tighten. Weeks turned to months. Lena still hadn't spoken. But she began to watch Claire cook, sit near Matthew while he worked, and curl up in the living room to fall asleep to their voices. The silence felt less heavy. Less lonely. Then, one day, something changed. It was a Saturday afternoon. Claire was sorting laundry, and Matthew was assembling a small bookshelf in Lena's room. He accidentally knocked over her backpack. It fell open. Inside were scraps of paper, some old photos, and a folded newspaper article. Claire picked it up and read the faded headline, "Fire Claims Lives of Family in Abandoned Cabin, One Child Missing." Below it was a black and white photo. A couple and 2 children. One of them, a little girl with tangled hair and a red scarf. Claire gasped. "Lena." The pieces came together in a sickening rush. The silence. The backpack. The house with no windows. Lena had survived a fire. Her family hadn't. They never talked about it in front of her, but she must have known. That night, Claire sat beside her and said softly, "You don't have to be afraid anymore. You're home now. And we love you." For the first time, Lena looked directly into Claire's eyes. And then, in a voice so soft it was almost a breath, she whispered, "I remember the fire." Claire held her close as the little girl began to cry. After that day, Lena changed. She still didn't speak often, but when she did, her words came with purpose. She asked for a night light. She wanted to try painting with Claire. She let Matthew teach her how to ride a bike. The nightmares didn't vanish overnight, but Lena began to sleep through them. Her scarf stayed on a hook instead of her neck. And one evening, as they all watched the sunset from the porch, Lena reached for Claire's hand. "Thank you for not giving up on me," she said. Matthew looked away, wiping a tear. A year passed. Lena started school, made a friend named Sarah, and even joined an art club. Her drawings transformed, from cold, windowless houses to sunny parks and smiling stick figures. She never forgot her past. But she wasn't hiding anymore. One morning, Claire found a new painting on the fridge. It showed a house with big windows, flowers outside, and 3 people holding hands. At the top, Lena had written, "My forever family." Closing narration. Sometimes, the quietest people are carrying the loudest stories. And sometimes, love isn't loud or flashy. It's patient. It's choosing to stay when it's hard. To listen when there's only silence. Lena didn't just find a home. She helped create one. One brush stroke at a time. One word. One smile. She had been hiding pain. But kindness uncovered something more powerful, hope. Because the moment someone believes in you, is the moment everything can change.